Welcome to week 2. In this week, we will create and strengthen our workspace. So we will create more workspace, which means we will try to get more range of motion, but we will also strengthen said range of motion. So today we will need a tennis ball, and some of us, not all of us, might need a yoga block, and I will use a towel for my knee to place underneath because the mat is not enough for my knee to take the pressure. So yeah, we'll start with our cars. So we'll get into seated position and we'll do some ankle cars. So again, we go into our usual in secret position, placing our hand on top of our on top of our knee, and then we'll start in dorsiflexion. Slow and controlled, full range of motion. And we avoid using our tibia for the movement. After 3 reps, change directions. Last one. Stay in the position until I rotate the tibia, come up into extension. Rotate at the top into external rotation, come down. Tibia is externally rotated as you come up into extension. Rotate at the top and come back down. Doesn't matter if you can extend all the way or not. Just stop right where you feel you hit your end point. In full extension, it's almost impossible to rotate. So even if you can, you might want to stop shy of that. And down. Other side, we'll go into ankle cars again. So we'll start in dorsiflexion. Remember, tibia is not involved. Inversion into plantar flexion. Eversion into dorsiflexion. Slow and controlled. Big circles. 3 in each direction. Change directions as soon as you've hit 3 reps. And the last one. Internally rotate your tibia. So now you want your tibia to be moving. Come up into extension. Rotate at the top into external rotation. Come back down. Beautiful. Full extension. Keep the tension. Come down. Rotate at the top, down, last one. From here, we will get into seated position. We'll go through some pelvic rocks. We want to warm up our lumbar spine a little bit. So we stay neutral as we start, and now we try to pull the belly button in and slide the pelvis forward. So we try to go into posterior pelvic tilt, rounded lumbar spine. We do not use our upper body or upper spine to move. We only use our pelvis. So now, anterior pelvic tilt, trying to go into a low back arch position. 5 reps, slow and controlled. Four. And 5. Posterior pelvic tilt into an anterior pelvic tilt. You can use your hand to assist you. Beautiful. From here we'll go into our training, and we have ankle. We start with ankle first. For most of us, the ankle is the most, the thing that we need to work on the most. And it's also one of the joints that takes the longest to change and to adapt to this training. So we'll put a lot of emphasis on these. So we start to get warmed up. We start with ankle dorsiflexion. So we get into a combat-based position, keep the heel on the ground, and we lean forward as much as we can. As soon as we feel our heel lifts off, we go back a little bit and stay right here. So we're in the stretch for about a minute, trying to go deeper over time during that minute. After that minute, we go into a pails and rails contraction, okay? Just to get our ankle into the mood for what's coming up next. Pails and rails, as you will remember from last week, pails is we push into the ground with our basically the knuckles of our feet or of our foot, and then we try to lift the foot off, keeping the heel on the ground, going into an isometric contraction as if we would imagine our toes lifting off the ground. So deep breath in, engage your core, and then start ramping up the pails contraction. Push your feet into the ground. Push. And in 500%, okay? 2, 1. 100% max effort. Push into the ground. Push the toes down for another 3, 2, 1. Rails contraction. Try to get your toes towards your knee. Heel stays on the ground. Breathe for another 5, 2, 1, and relax. Stay in the stretch position. We have passive range holds coming up. So for passive range holds, we stay in this position, we engage our rails tissue, and then we lean back. As soon as our toes and the knuckles of our foot lift off, that's where we stay, and that's where we hold it, the contraction for 10 seconds. So we are actively engaging the tissue, leaning back, holding it for 10 seconds. And then we repeat that for about 3 reps, and that will make 1 set. Okay, so passive stretch, engage the rails tissue. Imagine your foot wants to lift off, toes towards the knee. From here, lean back until your toes lift off. Hold it right there. Stay with me, hold it. For another 5, 2, 1. Relax. Lean forward. Heel stays on the ground. Engage your rails tissue. And lean back. Hold. Hold the contraction, your toes off the ground. 2, 1. Set it down. Last 1. Lean forward. Find your passive stretch. And rails contraction. Lean back until your foot lifts off. Heel is on the ground. Hold the contraction. You got this. Come on for another 5, 2, 1, and relax. Come into a seated position, RNC grip. From here we go into explosives. So we are in plantar flexion and trying to go into dorsiflexion as fast and explosive and powerful as we can. So that looks like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we try to get 6 explosives, and at the end, the last rep, the 6th rep, we try to have a 3 to 4 second hold in dorsiflexion. Okay, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the last one, hold it. 2, 1, release. Beautiful. Going on to the other side. Find your passive stretch. 1 minute in the pails in the stretch, and then we go for pails and rails. We will have 1 set of pails and rails and 2 sets of passive range holds. So we already did 1 set of pails and rails on the other side, which means that leaves us, and we also did 1 set of passive range holds, which leaves us with another passive range hold set on side number 1 and 2 hold sets on side number 2. Stay in the stretch. Heels on the ground. Breathe deep in and out in the stretch. Deep breath in. Engage your core, so ramping up the pails contraction. Push your foot into the ground, especially your toes. Ramp it up. In 5, come on, ramp up higher. 2, 1, 100% safest maximum effort. Push into the ground, try to get out of dorsiflexion. Really push, come on, you got this. For another 5, 2, 1, rails contraction. You're trying to lift off, getting your toes to your knee. Come on. For another 5, 2, 1, release. Stay in your stretch, you know what's coming up. Deep breath in, engage your rails tissue, and with that engaged, lean back. Hold as soon as your toes lift off. Hold the contraction for another 3, 2, 1. Set it down. Lean forward, find your passive stretch. Deep breath in, engage the rails tissue. Imagine toes towards your knee and lean back with that contraction. Hold it as soon as they lift off. Heel is on the ground. For another 5. Stay with me. 2, 1. Set it down. Last one, lean forward. Find your passive stretch. Once you've found your end range, heels on the ground, engage the rails tissue. Last one, lean back. Rails tissue engaged. Hold it. Toes are off the ground. Rails tissue engaged. Feel the burn. For another 3, 2, 1. Set it down. Beautiful. And we have explosives again. So we start in plantar flexion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is with a passive range hold at the top. Hold it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Other side. We do not need to go and do another set of pails and rails, but we go for another set of passive range holds. So we'll lean forward, find our passive stretch. With that passive stretch, rails tissue engaged. Imagine pushing your toes against your hand and then lean back. Have the rails tissue engaged, lift off, hold it. See that tiny gap here? Hold that for as long as I tell you to hold. Another 3, 2, 1. Relax, lean forward. Find your passive end range. With that, find your contraction. Rails contraction and lean back. Hold it. Come on, you can do it. Stay with me for another 5. And relax. Last one, guys. Make this your best set yet or rep. Lean forward. Find your passive stretch. Heels on the ground. Rails contraction. Try to lift your toes off the ground. Lean back. Hold. Come on. Last rep. Last hold for another 5. 2, 1, and release. Sit back, find your explosives. 6 explosives, and with an iso hold on the last rep. Let's do this. 3, 4, 5, 6, hold. 2, 1, and release. Other side. I can feel my ankles working. I hope you do too. Lean forward as much as you can. Find your passive stretch. Heels on the ground. Engage the rails tissue. Imagine toes towards your knee. With that contraction, lean back. Hold it. Tiny gap between the floor and your toes. Keep it. For another 2, 1, and release. Lean forward, find your stretch. Engage your rails tissue, regressive tissue. Hold it. And lean. Stay with me. You got this. I know it's burning. I know it's hard. You got this. 2, 1, and release. Last one, lean forward as much as you can. Engage your rails tissue. Slowly start leaning back with the contraction. Hold it. You got this. Come on, last one. Stay with me. I know it's hard. Fight through this. And relax. Find your explosives. Okay, so another 6 reps. With an iso hold on the last one. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly come out. Beautiful. We're done with ankle work. If you want to hang on and do another set of pails and rails for dorsiflexion, I highly recommend that. If you know that this is one of your weak links or weak spots, then definitely for more range of motion, try to get another full set of pails and rails in either after the class or pause the class and do it right now. We will continue with knee flexion work. We'll have a set of pails and rails for knee flexion, and then we will move on to knee flex passive range holds. So for passive range knee flex pails and rails, we can get into a lunge position, because we will not do an entire set. We will only do one, or we don't do 2 sets, we only do 1 set. So this is where I use my towel to place my knee on, and then I bring my leg or my foot up, holding it, leaning it slightly forward, so a little bit into hip extension, and then I bring my heel as close to my glutes as possible. And then from here, I stay in the stretch. I want to feel the stretch right in my anterior chain. For pails contraction, so get into your position for the pails contraction. You want to push your foot into your hand. For the rails contraction, you engage your hamstring, trying to get your foot closer to your glutes. Okay. Really feel the stretch. You can even tuck your pelvis under so that you feel an even more intense stretch in your anterior chain. Deep breaths. Really breathe in deep, try to get deeper into the stretch whenever possible. Deep breath in. Drop the ear down to your low abdominal region. Engage your core, engage your glutes. Solidify your base and start ramping up the pails contraction by pushing your foot into the hand, into your hand. Okay? And in 3, 2, 1. Push as hard as you can into your hand, trying to come out of knee flexion. Come on, you got this. For another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rails contraction, trying to get your foot closer, engage your hamstring, engage your glutes. Really pull. For another 5, You got this. Keep your hamstring engaged and release. Beautiful. We will have a hamstring pails and rail passive range hold. So in knee flexion, we will the passive range hold will look like this. We find our passive end range. We come out of this by 10 to 15 degrees, engaging our hamstring, engaging our glutes like we would for a rails contraction. So we try to get closer. And then I let go of my hand and I hold my foot right here. I do not want it to drop down. So we will be there for about 10 seconds. Total time under tension for 3 reps in total. So 30 seconds under tension for this right leg. Find your passive end range. Engage your glutes, your hamstring. Stay in hip extension. Do not go into a hip hinge. Extend your hip. Find your hold position. Engage your glutes. Hold it. Stay there. Come on. For another 5, 2, 1. And release. Find your passive end range. When you're cramping in this position, make sure you start with the moils contraction first to get used to this contraction. It's just that our nervous system is not used to this, and therefore we cramp up. So you do not want to cramp because then it's over for you. Make sure you stop before you're cramping. Do the moils contraction to get used to this contraction, and then try another set of the passive range hold. So into position. So moils contraction is the one we did last week, just as a reminder. So come into a passive range hold, a passive end range. Engage your glutes, your hamstring, 10 to 15 degrees out. Hold it. Stay with me. I know it's hard. I know it's burning. Stay. For another 3, 2, 1. Grab your foot. Find your passive end range. Deep breath in. Engage your glutes, your hamstring. Come 10 to 15 degrees out of your end range and hold it. Come on, you got this. Stay in hip extension. Keep your foot up high. 3, 2, 1. And release. Beautiful. So just as a little reminder, the moils contraction was when you were squeezing the yoga block in between your hamstring and your calf, and you would squeeze it for a 5-second contraction with maximum effort. You can also, instead of doing this, do a rails contraction in your end range, engaging the rails tissue to get used to this contraction. Really important. So now we give our right leg a rest, and we'll go on to the left side, having another pails and rails. So we're about 1.5 minutes in the stretch of the pails and rails before we start with pails and rails. So really find your deepest end range. Have hip extension, so push forward. Do not hip hinge like this. Feel a nice good stretch in your anterior chain. Breathe. Seconds to go. Try to get deeper into your end range whenever possible. Try to get your foot closer to your glutes. Deep breath in. Pat the ear down into your lower abdominal region. Solidify your base position. So ramping up the pails contraction. Push your foot into your hand. Ramping up And in 4, 2, 1. 100%. Push into your hand. Pails contraction. Really push. Come on. For another 5, 2, 1. Rails contraction. Trying to get closer to your bum. Only try to touch it with your heel. For another 5, 2, 1. And relax. Stay in this position. Lean into your full end range of motion. Glutes and hamstring engaged. Come out by 10 to 15. Let go. Hold it. Passive range hold. Come on. Stay. You can do this. And relax. Grab your foot. Come into your passive end range. For another 2. Come out by 10 to 15 degrees. Glutes and hamstring engaged. Let go. Hold. Stay in hip extension. Hold it. Fight through this. You know it's burning. 2, 1. Grab your foot. Release. And last one. Find your passive end range of motion. Come out by 10 to 15. Engage your glutes. Hold. Beautiful. You can do this. Stay with me. Fight. 3, 2, 1. Lower down. We have one more on each side. So come into your lunge position. If you need to hold on to something, hold on to something. We'll only go into our passive range hold. So find your passive end range. Come out by 10 to 15 degrees. Glutes and hamstring engaged. Core is engaged as well. Hold it. Let go of your hand. Fight. 2, 1. Grab your foot. Find your passive end range. 2 more to go. You can do this. Glutes and hamstring engaged. Come out of your end range. Hold it as soon as possible. Let go of your hand. Fight. Stay up with your foot. Come on. You can do this. 2, 1. And reach back. Find your passive end range. Last one. Make this your best. Glutes engaged. Core engaged. Hamstring. Everything is under tension. Find your passive end range. Come out by 10 to 15. Hold. Hamstring on fire. I want you to be fighting. Come on. For another 5, 2, 1. Slowly come out. And the last one on the other side. If you want to make this really hard, place the tennis ball into your knee pit and then fight. You don't want to lose the tennis ball. Come back a bit. So from here into your lunge position, find your passive end range of motion. Heel towards your glute, and then passive end range. Come up by 10 to 15. You know what is engaged, so keep it under tension. Let go of your hand, hold. Another 5, 2, 1. Reach back, bring your heel to your glute, and then engage it. Core is under tension. Find 10 to 15 degrees out of your end range, hold it. Feel the burn, fight it. You know you can do it. Stay with me. 2, 1, release. Last one. Last passive range hold. Deep contraction. Engage your glutes, your core, your hammy, everything. Fight. Let go. Hold. Come on, last contraction. Fight it. Stay up there. 3, 2, 1, and slowly come out. Beautiful. Next up, we got some lumbar spine movement. So we will be in a supine lying position and we will go into a glute bridge. So what I want you to do now, I will demonstrate 1 rep, okay? And then we will do it together. So what we will do is, we are in our glute bridge, which means that we start with our heels on the ground and hip flexion, knee flexion. From here, we come up, core is engaged, and then we start slowly going down like an eccentric glute bridge, only that we do not want to touch the floor with our glutes first or with our behind. No, we actually try to get spinal segmentation, which means we'll try to get the upper part of the lumbar spine, so rib cage down, belly button down, touching the ground first like a wave, and then from here slowly more and more touches the ground, okay? Spinal segmentation. And then the last thing that will touch the ground is our behind, okay? That's the very last thing that will touch the ground in this glute bridge eccentric. So, if you're ready, I'm ready. Deep breath in, come up into your normal glute bridge. From here, slowly start eccentric contraction, starting with the upper part of your lumbar spine. So, chest in, belly button in. And you have perfect feedback from the floor. Know exactly which part of your spine is touching the ground. And try to make it like a wave. Vertebra by vertebra touching the ground. Do not get sloppy at the end. Beautiful. 2 more. Come up and slow eccentric. I want you to be at least 10 seconds in the air with this eccentric. And your behind is the last one. Touching the ground, come up, glutes are engaged, and slowly go through that eccentric segmentation of your lumbar spine. Beautiful. If you want to, take a quick breather. You can drink something if you need to. We have a quick break before we go into our second set of these. So it's really important to have some spinal control during the squat as well. We talked you through the prerequisites, and lumbar segmentation, lumbar control is one of the prerequisites for deep squat. And especially if you're putting load onto your spine, your entire spine should be healthy. But for this class, we'll focus on the lumbar, or for this series of how to get a squat or building a squat, we will focus on the lumbar spine mainly. Because when you're in a deep squat, you will automatically have a slight butt wink, and you want to make sure you control your spine, strong, especially in this part of the spine. Take another 3 deep breaths. As you breathe in, feel how your stomach and your lungs are filling with air. As you breathe out, it should feel like a balloon that's losing its air. Beautiful. Get back into your position, ready to crush another set. So we will come back up into our glute bridge. Deep breath in, come up. Glutes are engaged. From here, slowly starting to descend as we come into our spinal segmentation. Beautiful. Slow and controlled. Do not get sloppy on the last part of your spine. Control the entire spine, and you will very fast notice which points of your spine are not as fluid as the other parts. Slow and controlled, touching the ground, come up, last rep. Your thoracic spine is on the ground the entire time, only focus on the lumbar spine. Beautiful. Next up, we have a squat kinetic stretch to get some squat movement in, to get our knees and our ankles to feel the movement that we've just prepared them for. So the squat kinetic stretch will look like this. We'll just go in and out of squat like this. Okay, but we'll do it way slower and we'll do it with contraction. So you remember the pails and rails contractions. We have a pails and rails contraction when it comes to the squat. So when we are in our deepest squat, which you should remember from the first week, day 2, we did squat, pails and rails in our deepest squat position. And we will use exactly those pails and rails to come in and out of the squat. So when I'm in a standing position, I will use my hip flexors, so my anterior chain, to pull me into the squat. I'll also use my dorsiflexion to go into a nice squat position. This will be a lot harder than just going into the squat. So what this looks like is I will irradiate deep breath in, and then I will use my hip flexors to come into the squat position, trying to pull my toes up. In the deepest squat position, I now push my feet into the ground, so especially my heels, and I will use my glutes to push up and out of the squat position. So you notice there's a lot of contraction happening, and we will go and aim for 6 full reps. I will do it from the side, maybe you can see it better from there. Find your position, so do not start like this if you know you can't go into a squat position. When you know you can't squat parallel, have your feet in a slight V shape. Go even wider if you need to. You can also hold on to something like this. Do the squat like I said, holding on to something. Same contraction, going down. If you feel like you can't stay in the deepest position, you can always use one of these. Find your position from there. Come up and start from here. Squatting down like a box squat until you reach the point, and then pushing back up. Keep the tension. This is if you're not able to squat into a full deep squat comfortably yet, okay? So, and if you're not able to squat as deep as I am, no problem. You can also do the kinetic stretch until here and come back up. Several options for you. Choose the one that suits you best. If you want to try it out first, pause the video. Do it. A lot of explaining, but now we're ready. Find your position. Deep breath in and slowly lower down. Hip flexors engaged, dorsiflexion engaged. Lower it down as much as you can. From here, push the heels into the ground, glutes engaged, pushing up with your posterior chain. Rep number 2, slowly lowering down. Radials contraction and pails contraction, pushing up. Number 3, slowly lower down. Push, heel into the ground, glutes pushing up. 2 more. Up. Let's go for another 2. Slowly lower down. Dorsiflexion, hip flexion engaged. Now use your knee flexion. Hamstring, push up. And the last one, deep breath in, slowly lower down. Stay down here for a moment. Push back up with your heels, your glutes, your hamstring. Beautiful. From here, come into your seated position of a squat as much or as good as you can. If you're not comfortable in the squat at all, sit elevated on a yoga block or 2 and try to sit as actively in the squat as possible. From here, count down. Deep breath in, deep breath out. We will focus on our breathing. Really important, we want that timer detention in our squat. No contractions, just breathing in the squat. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. As you breathe in, expand your stomach, expand your lungs, filling it with as much air as possible. As you breathe out, let go of all the air and your stomach should deflate. Thirty seconds to go. Three more breaths. Last one. On your exhale, hold your breath. Hold it. As soon as you have the need to breathe, you can breathe again. And this was it for today's class. As I said, if you ever feel like there is a weak link that you should work on more, whether that is hip internal rotation, hip flexion, dorsiflexion, work on that additionally to this class because it's a full week class or full week series. You probably need to put in some extra work for weak links.